everyone. I'm Nick Giannone. I'm a North Weymouth resident and I have deep roots in the town. My father's side of the family came here from Selby after World War II, back when upwards mobility and expanding middle class were still things that existed. My mother's side of the family has been on this fine piece of real estate since it was stolen from the native inhabitants nearly 400 years ago. So if nothing else, I have my towny street cred. I was raised in a union home. My father was a member of Boilermakers Local 29 from the time he left the Navy to when he retired at 55. Now, I know some people out there might be thinking, oh, lazy, greedy union workers retiring at 55. Well, like many Boilermakers who worked back in the time when corporate greed trumped worker safety, my father retired at 55 and died shortly after at 55. But because he was in a union that had collective bargaining, that negotiated a contract that provided for a pension, another thing soon to be extinct in our society, my mother will be provided for the rest of her life. And every day my family is thankful for my father's hard work and the union that allowed him to get a fair share of the labor he created, of the fair share of the value he created. Because of this, I recognize the value of unions in our society and the benefits they provide to working people. As a town councilor, I will oppose any attacks on wages and benefits negotiated in good faith and will not facilitate in the race to the bottom and any union busting. I will also support any efforts in this town to unionize workers, whether in the public or private sector. 13 years ago, I followed in my father's footsteps and also became a union boilermaker. One of my first jobs was building the Weymouth power plant next to the bridge. I've become very active in my union. I speak out on safety. I often serve as steward, representing the union on the job, and recently formed a rank and file organization, Boilermakers for a Democratic Union, to fight for accountability and democracy against our corrupt leadership. In addition to union membership, I've also spent a great deal of time as an activist in many movements for social and economic justice, including the anti-war movement, fighting for police accountability against the death penalty, for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender rights, for women's reproductive freedom, for workers' rights, and I was part of the Occupy movement that united the 99% against the 1%. My time as an activist participating in coalitions, sometimes of up to 60 different groups, has provided me an opportunity to learn a great deal about consensus building and principled compromise, attributes that I feel would help me make an effective town council. Now, I'm sure most of you read the Patriot Ledger, so I guess this is as good a time as any to tell you that I'm an advocate of democratic socialism and I'm a member of the Communist Party USA. I'll just briefly say that I feel that capitalism is an exploitative economic system that has outlived its usefulness, and society needs to be reorganized under working people's control to meet human needs instead of the greed of a few. But if we want to continue that debate, there's a page on Facebook called Everything Weymouth, where that seems to be a popular item. I know my ideas are, I'm in the minority. We are a growing minority. Most of you are not ready to live in Soviet Weymouth, and I'm not up here to make you. We don't have to dig up Joe McCarthy yet. But there are, even under this system, there are real meaningful reforms to protect and advance the interests of working people. And as a town councilor, I would like to look into passing the Homeowner Bill of Rights, which has been passed in Lynn and Revere, and some other cities are looking at it. The Homeowner Bill of Rights requires face-to-face mediation between a homeowner and a bank before a family can be kicked out of their home. And it also requires that banks put up a $10,000 bond to pay for the maintenance of properties that are left empty when families are removed from their homes. In some places this has become a blight, bank-owned properties, no one's mowing the lawn. So it's a good way to keep the banks honest. I'd like to support the passage of the Mass Municipal Choice Bill, which would allow us, like Braintree, to form our own municipal power company. Braintree's power is 20% cheaper. They also provide cable and phone. They have better service. They provide good union jobs for people in the town. And it's a popular item in Braintree. And I feel it's a great example of socialism in action. I would also like to look into the possibility of a wage ordinance on big box retailers that come into our town, don't pay workers a living wage, and basically drive local small businesses out of business. Now these are big ideas, but what am I going to do for North Weymouth and the rest of the town? Now, all of us up here want a better place to live. I don't think anyone could imagine a candidate that wanted more potholes, bad schools, and neglected parks. What makes me different is that I recognize most of the problems the town faces are a result of the economic collapse of 2008, tax cuts for the rich, and endless war draining our resources. And it looks like we're on the verge of another potentially endless war by the peace president we elected. All of this flows downhill, and local communities are left with no choice but to cut and cut and cut. What we need is a workers' political party to challenge the two parties of big business and build a movement to fight for human needs instead of corporate greed. I see my campaign as a part of this movement, and hopefully you will support me by giving me a vote on September 17th. Thank you.